Alright, hello math people. Today we are going to look at multiplying and dividing radicals, which is roughly 1.4 and 1.5 in your workbook. So the first one, see what happens when we multiply something out like this. Recall binomial expansion. Another way people remember this is FOIL, first, outside, inside, last. So you're distributing each term to the other one. So basically it's multiplying. What you notice will happen, because those things look similar, this is a difference of squares. They had different signs though. Those two middle terms cancel out. This thing actually turns out to just equal 2, because the things with the radicals in the middle added up to 0. Alright, let's look at another one here. Same kind of idea. This time we have a variable under the radical. When we expand it out, we can go 5 times 5, we'll get 25. And I don't even write it down this time because I recognize that the two middle terms are going to cancel out every time we do a difference of squares. What we're actually doing, this is called multiplying by conjugates. So they're called conjugates because we've got a plus and a minus, but they have the same two terms. The only difference is they have different signs in the middle. So this is going to be a really common trend in this section. You multiply by a conjugate, the two middle terms from FOIL end up canceling out. Alright, so let's we'll move on from there. And the next thing we're going to do is need to catch up to the class. There we go. Get rid of this. There's our third one. And this time we'll just put two terms underneath the radical and we have a square. So remember, when you square something, you actually have to write out both brackets. Write it out twice. Now notice this time you don't have opposite signs, so they're not conjugates. So nothing will cancel out when we expand these. Now, first thing we're going to do, root x plus 3 and times root x plus 3 just ends up equaling x plus 3. Expand out, we get two negative 5 terms, and then we're going to get positive 25 at the end. Negative 5 times negative 5. Collect any like terms that we see. You notice nothing adds up to 0. You can't cancel anything out. But you can combine the 3 and the 25, and you can combine those two middle terms there. Right, and that's our final answer. Alright, now let's move on. This time we're going to rationalize the denominator. This is basically the dividing radical section. So what we mean by this is that to start off with, we've got a number in the denominator that will be irrational. And what we mean by that is that it's got no pattern to its decimals if we try to evaluate it with a calculator, and they just go on and on and on. Something like the square root of 2 or square root of 3 or pi, all those things are irrational. So let's do one with 3 over root 5. What we do is we multiply by root 5 over root 5, and this allows the denominator to become rational, because it just turns into 5. Okay. And the reason you're allowed to multiply by root 5 over root 5 is because that's just 1. And just be careful, if you see a cube root on the bottom, you actually have to multiply twice, because cube root 7, cube root 7, cube root 7 is what's going to make 7. So you need 3 of them on the bottom in order to get rid of all the radicals. Okay. And we'll look at one where we've got a binomial on the bottom. Now we don't really like that root x down there, because that could be an irrational number. Say if that x was a 7 or a 2 or something. So what we do is we practice what we did before. We multiply by the conjugate. And this time we're going to do the top and bottom by the conjugate of the denominator. So the conjugate is 3 minus root x. And what will happen on the top, you just distribute the 5, and on the bottom you're going to get that canceling out of the two middle terms again. If 3 times 3 is 9, and root x times negative root x is negative x. And we're done. Thanks for watching.